How did we go from this to this? And did you know that you can tell the story of change and how it relates to you through understanding the progression of the world pole vault record over the last 150 years? No? Then let me share it with you. Pole vaulting as we know it began in the north of England just before the mid-1800s, but it wasn't always about height. Dating back millennia, it was originally about how far someone could jump, but it quickly became a recognised event with the first competition held in Germany in 1850 and its inclusion in the Olympics of 1896. But what does this tell us about change? Well, firstly, let's set some context. I'm a great believer in wherever someone does something somewhere, there's an opportunity to elevate standards. In other words, by focusing on people, process and environment, we can react to and proactively drive change in a structured way, and pole vaulting is no exception. To date, there have been 132 record jumps, 74 of which have been ratified as world records, with 52 individual record holders across those 150 years, mainly coming from the UK, USA, Ukraine and Sweden. Looking at the progression over that time, you can break down change into a number of component parts. Let's start with the most obvious, transformative change, driven by a change in equipment which sits within the environment standards. You can clearly see that there have been essentially three main pole types over the years, with an increase in the strength and flexibility of materials, and we're now coming into the fourth with new composite materials becoming more available. But changing to a new pole is not as simple as turning up to a competition with it. Governing bodies have to agree on its use and build regulations around it to ensure fairness and competition. So a transformative change is often triggered by the compliance change. This in turn forces a re-evaluation and reset of the standards we have in place, not just for people and process, but also other environmental considerations, as there are occasions where you will never get the full benefit from a new piece of equipment without other equipment to support. Let's think about that for a second. Imagine attempting to vault above 4.5 to 5 metres using a fiberglass pole, but without a crash mat. But it's not just the big things. You also need to think about raising the bar in the first place and knowing what height it is. And it only gets harder the higher you get. All these little developments play a part in the world record progress. But when we get a new piece of equipment, is it right to carry on using old techniques? Possibly to start with. Most of us are creatures of habit, and we will take time to learn how to use new equipment, and even longer still to get the best from it. I call this the innovation lag, where just because we have something new, it doesn't mean we get instant results and benefits from it. Those that balance resetting skills and technique against equipment quickest will be the ones to gain a competitive edge, and we can see that on 3 occasions after the introduction of a new pole. When individuals do embrace change, then progress can accelerate. One example is John Pennell, who with 4 ratified and 5 unratified record jumps to his name, literally raised the bar by 0.5 metre in just 6 years. Once new standards for skills, technique and equipment are in place, then you can see a pattern of others getting to and maintaining and then continually improving and outperforming these standards. And these incremental changes are the results of lots of 1% improvements in all 3 of the areas. Incremental change cannot go on forever though. There are capacities that have to be recognised and performance can begin to plateau at this point, with one of 2 things happening. Either progress stops until there is a new piece of equipment, or an individual comes along with such skill and technique that they breathe new life into the existing equipment. There are 2 individuals who did this, Cornelius Farmadam and Sergei Bubka. Each of these athletes were coming to a particular vaulting milestone, 5 and 6 metres, so from a strategic point of view, each would have set themselves the task of being the first person to achieve the respective heights. Setting new personal goals is a huge driver for change and innovation in the skills, techniques and equipment we have. Now there are 2 periods where external events effectively stop progress, World War I and World War II. We can see that there are clean breaks with no continuity at all. But like in the recent pandemic, just because one area shuts down, it may mean that there is an accelerated progress in other areas and sectors using those skills, techniques and equipment. What for the future? Well, we can see a change in pole type in recent years with the introduction of new composite materials. but there was a long gap between world records. We are now, though, in the era of Armand Duplantis, who has 5 world records to his name, and is the one with the competitive edge by reducing the innovation lag through balancing skills, techniques and against equipment. I look forward to the next 10 years of competition. So what have we learnt? Be open to new directions and opportunities, as far bigger things can come from them. Change is cyclical. Know where you are in the cycle to understand what your short, medium and long-term change plan should be. Change comes as a package and isn't done in isolation, as it impacts all areas. Those companies that can redress the balance after transformative change will gain a competitive edge. Those companies that can balance people, process and environment will sustainably improve over time. And finally, find those individuals that can inspire others by embracing change from the start, or breathe new light into existing environments and ways of doing things, as the results can be outstanding.